today, but we have the lovely and talented Miss Paula Farris here with us.
I want to kiss you. I brought lips.
You also have the lovely and talented Sunny Hostin and Meghan.
McCain. But you're here every day.
I am here every day.
You're here
I
every
have
day.
lipstick on my teeth.
Yeah.
Great. That's a great way to start the show, isn't it?
Okay, so the word of the day in America this morning, for several different reasons, is leaks.
I got that.
Please explain. Please
Former
explain.
FBI Director James Comey talked to George Stephanopoulos about meeting with Donald Trump about allegations that Russians had a video of Trump with hookers in a Moscow hotel room doing really, really, really gross things. Here's how he says Trump reacted. Watch.
Says he may want me to investigate it to prove that it didn't happen. And then he says something that distracted me, because he said, you know, if there's even a 1% chance my wife thinks that's true, that's terrible. And I remember thinking, how could your wife think there's a 1% chance you were with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow? I'm a flawed human being, but there's literally zero chance that my wife would think that was true. So what kind of marriage to what kind of man does your wife think there's only a 99% chance you didn't do that?
Did you believe his denial?
Honestly, never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but I don't know whether the current president of the United States was with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow in 2013. It's possible, but I don't know.
I had to pick my jaw off the ground
off the
after
ground.
hearing that.
So first off, if someone told you that your husband watched hookers pee on each other,
Oh, God.
would you think even for a minute that there was a possibility, like even a 1% chance?
No.
He's worried that Melania would believe it, 1%.
No.
I can't even imagine
I
my
can't
husband
imagine that.
doing such a thing. And
Yeah.
I would say, what are you, nuts?
Incomprehensible.
Well, what was incomprehensible to me is that Trump is asking the then FBI director to be his own PI,
Yes.
to be his own personal
Well, he wants
investigator.
the
That's not what.
But he wants the Justice Department to be his own lawyer also.
Yes, and that's not how it works.
No.
It just gives you sort of some insight into the inner workings of his brain. He thinks, you know, he's the boss.
I'm looking forward to this interview. Again,
yes.
ABC, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central,
Yep.
everyone, with George Stephanopoulos. But I was talking to George.
And here on The View Wednesday.
Yes,
next
that's right.
Wednesday.
He's here
the
next
whole
week.
thing in a minute.
I know, but
Calm
he
down.
said that Comey... George literally, he could not believe what he was hearing. He said that Comey was holding nothing back. And there is no love lost between these
There's
two
clearly
men at
nothing.
all.
No.
Yeah, being held back too. I mean, I think what's interesting right now, and he's also coming on The View.
Yes.
So give that a shout out
Well,
on
that's
Wednesday,
good.
which is very exciting. I will say that my problem with, I have many problems with James Comey, but one of the things is, on one side, he wants to be this like stand-up, I'm the head of the FBI, I'm apolitical, I'm just here for the FBI and for national security. And then on the other hand, he's like talking about the size of Trump's hands.
Yes.
He's talking about all these salacious things, and he's tweeting all these highly political tweets about President Trump. So once again, I don't know where you stand. I don't know who you are. I will say Nate Silver tweeted, if Comey's decision to release the letter on October 28th was influenced by his interpretation of polls, that really ought to cut against his image as an honorable, principled decision maker. Instead, he was just being expedient and trying to save his hide.
Well, it's the good news and the bad news about Comey, basically. He's a flawed human being.
Republicans don't like him. Democrats don't like him.
This is what's interesting to me. They're doing a hit job on Comey. I myself, you know, having worked at the Justice Department, I thought that he was an honorable leader. I think that when you have the President of the United States and Republicans trying to take down our law enforcement institutions of the United States, I am horrified by that. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. I was a public servant. I made very little money, but I was representing the people of the United States, much like all of these people. So I am really disgusted that the RNC now has a website called,
Yes.
you know, Lion Comey.
Comey.
This is a man who is a war-decorated Marine.
Here it is.
A
Here it
Vietnam
is.
War-decorated Marine, former FBI director, former Southern District of New York, United States Attorney. The suggestion somehow that people will believe these horrible things about him because Donald Trump is saying them. is
Well,
shocking
But he
to
hasn't
me.
done himself any favors. I mean, again, he's made himself this highly political animal. And I will say, there are great people who work for the Justice Department like you who are just doing it because they want to be public servants. I think James Comey wants his own late night show. I think he wants to be a co-host on The View.
I
think he wants to. I mean,
I
I
wouldn't
think
put
that's
him in
what
the
he's doing
category
now.
of
Is he in it for the cash?
Who wants to
This
be
book, or is he in it
Gucci.
for the country? Is he in it for the cash or the
disagree with
country?
Okay, here's another point. Comey also claims that Trump's like a mob boss, quote unquote, who's obsessed with loyalty. In my opinion, even Don Corleone had loyalty to Clemenza and Tessio. Trump throws everybody under the bus. He has no loyalty to anyone. Maybe Ivanka. That's about it.
I think there's a difference, though. We talk about demanding loyalty.
I wouldn't say he's a mob boss.
I
Not
don't
in that
think
way.
that. I think there's a difference between, like, if I want somebody to join my inner circle or producer, I need to know that I can trust them, and I need to know that they're going to be loyal. But I think there's a difference between trust and loyalty and just blind enablement. And I don't really see. I know we've made a big deal about, he asked for his loyalty, but I ask for people's loyalty. I want you to be loyal to me, but I also want you to be able to call me out when I'm going down.
Well, he doesn't like any of that. He only wants blind adoration.
A lot of people on his staff call him out. They're not the same ideology.
But it's very different when you ask the loyalty of the FBI director. They are not. You don't get loyalty from the FBI director. You get the truth. And so the suggestion somehow that he asked of loyalty because he wanted him to lay off of investigating one of his colleagues. It's
He also but in some of the clips that have come out, the excerpts, and we have the book. We're all reading it over the weekend.
Yes.
In the book, one of the things that came out is him saying that he was crying to President Obama after he had come out about Hillary Clinton's emails the 10 days before the election. So, again, are you political? Why is either president's admiration or respect for you? Why are you crying to President Obama in an emotional way if you don't want the validation of presidents? You're supposed to be completely separate, apolitical, have nothing to do. So
this was after, though. This was after he was fired, as my understanding, and he did go to President Obama because I think, and again, I haven't finished reading the book, but I think it's likely because President Obama appointed him. George W. Bush appointed him as well.
He's a Republican.
He is
a Republican. Republicans.
But I think more so, he felt, and he has said this, terrible guilt about perhaps his role in that election. And I think the suggestion somehow that he's in it for the money, or
and
this is
the Republican Party have some of them in the party, like Newt Gingrich, for example. They're going after Comey. Something's very, very scary to them about this book because Newt Gingrich compared the FBI to Stalin and the Gestapo. I mean, going into Cohen's stuff. And I'd like to point out that the FBI had a search warrant, which is an American thing that we do in this country. It's not Stalin.
That's not my issue, though. Stop it. Because I don't think that was illegal. But I just want to say one thing as we exit.
Yeah.
Do you know what Mueller looks like? Does he have a Twitter account? Do you know anything about his personal life? Comey had a Twitter account while he was the head of the FBI. He does a lot of things that are non-traditional for a head of the FBI. There's a lot of people in the FBI that do great work. No idea who they are, what they look like, what their political leanings are. He's a political animal. Yes.
Well,
And
Comey
is a
huge
huge differentiation.
Like I said, he's not exactly on the same level as Mueller, in my opinion.
Mueller hasn't allowed the leaks.
But like I mentioned earlier, you can see James Comey's full interview with George Sunday night at 10 p.m., 9 o'clock on Central and ABC. And we'll be here live on Wednesday with Comey. And then Tuesday... Wait,
there's more.
This is good.
Wait,
there's more. Stormy Daniels will be here for her only... I have to say this because it's really something great. This is the only TV interview. We saw Avenatti last night. He said she's only coming on The View. Yeah, live. And no place else. So, live, yeah.
Not taping it.
No.
You get what you get when she's here.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll be right back with more Hot Topics. But as Russian hookers... Let me do the joke. Can I do the joke before they start clapping? Wait a second.
Don't ruin her punchline,
Don't ruin my punchline,
Don't ruin
okay?
her punchline.
Okay, we'll be back with more Hot Topics. But as Russian hookers like to say, we gotta go.
Tell you, when there's more than one person that has a gun, it makes the situation more dangerous for them because they don't know who the bad guys are.
But you know what?
So more guns is not the answer.
Because I live in New York State, I just want to say this one thing because it's personal, really.
Yeah.
Because I live in New York State and there are tight gun laws here. I take the subway, I take the bus, I walk around freely. If I was living in one of these states, open carry or whatever they are, I would never do public transportation. I'd be afraid that some guy in the subway would have a fit, just go mad, upset about somebody took his seat or somebody's mansplaining or what have you, and shoot somebody else.
Well,
Because it's easy to do.
Can we follow the lead of other countries? I mean, if you look at Japan, there is almost no gun violence. In fact, it's like the chance of being killed by a gun are just the same as chances in the United States of being struck by lightning. It's like 1 in a million.
They don't have a Second Amendment in
Why
Japan.
don't we have a Second Amendment from them?
I feel very differently about that, though. When I go to states like Arizona, when I go to states like Texas, I'm not worried about law-abiding citizens carrying guns. They don't make me nervous. I feel much more comfortable knowing that if something happens, you have law-abiding citizens that have gone through background checks but have been trained.
Have you been around people with guns?
All the time. No, I have. I have been around a lot of people.
Have you been around with afraid people with guns?
I have, and a lot of these people
I don't believe you, Jan. I don't believe you. Because when somebody shoots a gun...
I'm a conservative. They're a very pro-guns, pro-Second Amendment group.
Listen,
no,
I have no
a lot of
I'm
not a gun girl, but I have a lot of
I am saying to you that when people start shooting, people tend to run. If other people have guns, it makes it very hard for the police to know who to shoot.
And they're more likely to hurt themselves.
Who to shoot, because every civilian's got a gun out.
But the problem is, if the Capitol Police weren't there, and the Capitol Police were only there because Scalise is there and he's the House Majority Whip, if they had not shown up, there would have been a massacre there.
But that's their job. That's their training.
But if you live in a society where only the police have guns, that's called a police state. That is not the United States of America.
Not called the police.
That is not the United States.
I don't know. That is not. Listen, the Second Amendment. Let's talk about the Second Amendment then.
Please.
Okay, because the Second Amendment is about a militia.
That's
what it says.
But that was at the time that it was written.
That's right.
It's the right to